Hey, Neek, do you know one time they asked Barkley about Kobe Bryant because for his first couple of years he missed a lot of games, with various injuries and ailments, and they asked him about trading after Shaq now with the burden being on him. They're like, how many games do you think he'll play in this regular season? He goes, I don't know how many games he'll play, but I know he won't be playing in any playoff games. What's up, y'all? It is April 29th, 2024. We are the HoopStorians. I'm Tony Styles. It's my man Unique over there. Let's get into this day in NBA history. Actually got two facts for this day in NBA history. You want to do two or one? Oh, I can't even hear you now. I can't hear you at all. You can hear me, but I can't hear you. Say something. Nope. Still a no-go. Can't hear you.
All right, what about now?
Now we can.
Right.
So we got two things in this day in NBA history. You want to do one? You want to do them both, or what do you want to do?
We can do both of them.
Okay. And matter of fact, it happened on the exact same day too. So April 29th, 1990, the Los Angeles Lakers beat the Houston Rockets 104-100 for Coach Pat Riley's 100th career playoff victory, breaking Red Auerbach's record of 99. Also on that day, Houston, Hakeem Olajuwon blocked 10 shots, tying the NBA playoff record set by Mark Eaton of Utah on April 26, 1985 against the Rockets. Did you know Riley's 100 playoff wins is more than 10 current franchises now, such as teams like the Kings have been around since, the 50s, and the Wizards, who also have a title. His current total of 171 playoff victories would rank ninth behind only the Lakers, Celtics, Sixers, Spurs, Warriors, Knicks, Pistons, and Bulls. How impressive do you think Pat Riley's playoff record wins are, especially since he's not even all-time, the number one all-time?
Well, Pat Riley, he's always been considered one of those great coaches. Even if he isn't considered the GOAT, which I don't see why he would be, but I also do see why he does get the type of credit that he does have. Pat Riley has coached the likes of who? Coached the likes of Ewing, coached the likes of the Lakers. So it's like Pat Riley, he's had the type of talent to where once you start seeing victories, they're definitely going to catapult you to those great talks in terms of coaching. I do feel as though it is impressive what he's been able to do with different organizations, having success with as far as superstardom goes, and stars aren't created equal. You got those that are easy to work with, you got those that are difficult, and he was able to make it work no matter what the personnel was. He was able to get his players on the same page and be able to see that translate into wins. So that's quite impressive to me to see him do it consistently.
And what do you think about Hakeem in the playoffs getting 10 blocks and all that? Because I am a firm believer, I tell everybody this, 95 Hakeem was by far the best player, including Jordan, I have ever seen play.
As far as getting 10 blocks in itself is just crazy. You got people who might not get 10 blocks in a whole season. So to be able to do it in a game, that just says a lot as far as where you are defensively and where you are mentally. So yeah, it is quite impressive whenever you can get 10 blocks, especially when you're the type of player that's going to score in double digits. So that's an easy double-double for you if you don't take it a step further and turn it into a triple-double. So yeah.
What's crazy about, well, I was going to say 10 blocks, for example, when we think of LeBron, it's weird. I would say that the iconic LeBron play we think of is the chase down block. If you're like, what do you, it's like, name something that you think of LeBron. I think a lot of people go chase down block. Like if they asked, what's an iconic thing you think about Jordan? Well, the fadeaway, things like that, different things. But did you know there's 4 postseasons where LeBron has got 10 blocks or less for the entire postseasons, 4 times? And when we think of LeBron, we think of the block.
To be honest though, excuse me. To be honest, as athletic as LeBron is, with the hops that he has, the speed that he has, it's not really that shocking to see LeBron getting blocks. Now, that's not to take away from his blocks, but I am saying that I would expect someone with LeBron's talents to be the type of person that can get you some blocks. I
Well,
mean,
that's
he
my
can
point,
guard.
though. Well, that's my point, though. In '07, he made the finals. He played 20 games. He only had
Hmm.
10 blocks the entire postseason. And Akeem
Yeah,
did
yeah,
one.
yeah. That's. I mean, that's he probably could have did more. It just depends on where his focus is. With LeBron, sometimes his focus is on distributing. Sometimes his focus is on scoring. So he's the type of player, and it's not a lot of players like this, but he is definitely one of those players who at any given point in time could turn it up, whether you need him to turn it up offensively or defensively. LeBron has enough in his bag to where he's able to lock in for whatever you need him for. And it's funny too because this wasn't a conversation that was easy for me to have in regards to LeBron, seeing him battle with two of my favorite teams of all time, being the Bulls and Golden State, and just seeing him just run through my teams the way he was. So I spent a lot of years not liking LeBron, but I had to respect what he was doing, and in respect for what he's doing, I have to acknowledge the fact that yeah, LeBron could get blocks. Why he doesn't utilize his potential for blocking more, I don't know. Like I said, I think it's just within the system. One can argue when is getting blocks not in the system, but again, it just depends on what he's focusing on at that point in time. I think a lot of his focus is more so on the scoring. So
That was this day in NBA history. So just to let you know, Woodage did want you to know that Hakeem was pretty solid in his opinion.
yeah, that's a concrete player right there, man. I
Yeah, he's
mean,
solid.
I mean, was he though? I mean, King was pretty flimsy in my book. Like, I don't know. He seemed like he bent too much. He seemed like he break and folded under pressure. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
he
Hey,
let
that
Shaq smack him around.
that after that one press conference loss of David Robb, I want to say it was game 2 again in '95, but when he was like, he's the MVP, and he's like, I just don't know, I don't know what we're doing. Like he didn't know what to do. That's when I thought to myself, yeah, this dude is pretty solid. Um, and so before we get it, we're still in round 1. Obviously my squad is no longer in round 1, but we're still in round 1 and all that. So I want to shout out to the death of the Phoenix Suns as titles contenders. Everybody kept saying, we'll wait till the playoffs, see if they turn it on. So that's over. So I want to talk about the best individual performances in round 1, since we didn't get really any iconic ones from the Suns this year, and broke my little heart. Our first, I'll put it this way: I've been watching basketball since '92, and
Hmm.
this is the first time I've ever seen the Suns get swept in a best of 7. I
Yo,
looked back. Last time it happened was in '89.
and you know what about that? The Suns let me down because I'm not even a Suns fan, even though I'm out here. But
Mm-hmm.
they irritate me because it's like years where I don't really want them to win. That's when you see them flourishing. That's when you see them having extended runs. And then seasons like this, like I get it, they've been up and down all season. This is true. But at the same time, when you have players like a Kevin Durant who's still a premier player, a Devin Booker who's a premier player, a Bradley Beal who on pretty much any team that you put him on is going to be a good second or third option.
Mm-hmm.
You got Allen shooting lights out this year. You got um, Nurkic doing his thing defensively. Like that's a solid, just a 5-man unit. That's a solid unit. So for them to get swept is crazy to me, especially to I guess the team isn't so young, but at the same time, like their star is extremely young in Minnesota. So it was just crazy to me. I expected more. I really did expect more as far as the veteran play. I don't know why they couldn't pull it together, especially Bill. I don't know what was going on,
Well, I mean,
but I say,
I don't think Booker had a good series either. Really, what fucked me up is though, is the fact that, like, you in a vacuum, just in a vacuum, if I would have told you, you're going to have Beal, Booker, Durant on a team, and then their next two players, who obviously are going to be role players, one of them is going to be one of the best rebounders in the league, and another one's going to lead the league in 3-point shooting. Right, that's what I'm saying. So then you got role players that are, getting in league categories. You would think on paper you could at least win a game in the first round. But then again, Grayson Allen was hurt too. Go ahead.
And you know what? That right there is the reason why the eye test becomes a factor, because like you were saying, on paper, because I fell for it too. On paper, they look amazing. On paper is like, you feel me? On paper, who can that team not beat on paper when you just see who's on that team? You feel me? Of course, there's going to be some players or some teams that's going to give them a run. Of course, there's going to be some teams that are going to be difficult, but just based on talent alone and all of the things that you look for to win, Phoenix Suns would have had those things. So it was something going on with them, probably mentally. I don't know why, but we've seen it all season where they're just not reaching their potential for what it is that they have. They have all of these players that can get you as far as you want to go, and they don't even make it out the first round. That's nuts.
Well, yeah,
and
but
barely made it into the playoffs at that.
Yeah, then you do the but see, then that's where, like, well, that's where you just do the vacuum of the players and stuff. But then on paper, you look at them, they're 49 and 33, 49 and 33 teams that really don't win it. And then you look on paper, well, like, they got all these great offensive players. Well, they were a middle of the pack offense. You know what I mean? So if you're designed to be one of the best offensive in the league at the expense of defense, and you're only middle of the pack and all that, but that's what I mean. Like, so that's why I was saying in a vacuum, supposedly this should have worked, but I don't know. We'll see what's up with the off season. I'm excited for something. I believe our like, I'm on the squad. Our next first round pick is in 2031. So, but anyways, let's talk about something more positive. Let's talk about the top individual first round performances. In round one, and we're going to keep this theme going. We're going to do round two during round two, round three. Try to maybe we get in some series as well, best series or whatever. So let's kick it off with you. Who do you got coming in at number 10? And then I'll see if any of them line up with my number, and then we'll kind of work around like that.
So I highly doubt it, because I'm going to tell you straight up, because of how you are, and I know, you really thrive on the history of everything. So I expected you to more so go outside of the recent. So I went ahead and I went with players within the most recent years.
Okay.
I did that intentionally. So don't throw nothing at me. I understand that there's all kinds of other players that probably had good seasons, good first rounds and everything. What were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, well, that's why I like it from two different perspectives. Maybe I give you some games you didn't think of. You give me some games I didn't think of, and then that way there's more knowledge on the pod.
So, question: you went games or all out series?
I just went games, individual performances for games, and then maybe later on we'll do
games. Okay.
Yeah,
that's where I messed up. I went so the way I did it, the way I constructed my list was based on who I felt like was standing out in their in the first round. So,
well, give me number 10. Let's see who you got.
Number 10. All right. So who I have at number 10? I have.
Wait, do you have any honorable mentions?
Nah.
Okay, that's cool. No. Number 10, Trae Young. I don't have him on my list.
So I have Trae Young from the 2021 season versus the Knicks. The reason being is because what we're seeing, first of all, they beat the Knicks 4-1, but what we were seeing from Trae is there was all of this talk about how good Trae was going to be, or if he was ever going to be good. If he, he came into the league, he was kind of in Steph's shadow, which he kind of still is because of the shooting. But at the same time, with him being such an undersized guard, the questions were, can he lead a team? How far can he lead a team? In 2021, he shows you how far he can lead a team. He can lead a team to the Eastern Conference Finals. I feel as though New York was the favorites to win that series from what I was seeing until Trae went into the Garden and just shut everybody up. he didn't shoot the three ball particularly well, but it wasn't terrible neither. He was shooting at around 34% from three. But over the whole first round, he's giving you 29 points a game with 9 assists. Being a point guard, also giving you 2 rebounds. So just the way that I was seeing Trey play, he seemed like he had come into his own, and I expected more after what I saw in 2021. I expected more from the Hawks moving forward. Like I started buying into what? Why you laughing?
Because okay, so you remember they got to conference finals that year, and what Giannis and Giannis beat him, and Giannis was injured, you know what I mean, and they still lost to him.
Mm-hmm.
So the next year they had that up and down season, and I forget which player said it on the Hawks, because you said you expected more, but one of them said, I forget which one said it, like, yeah, we were just kind of bored with this season, just waiting for the playoffs.
And you know what though? You know what's funny about
After a conference finals loss appearance, that's what you felt like.
right? And that's funny because I could see that being true about certain teams and certain players. I don't see how that would have been true about the Atlanta Hawks at that point in time. When you take like a team, when you take like a LeBron, somebody that we see going to the playoffs consistently. Now, him having that opinion is different. It's different entirely.
With winning it, that's the point. But with winning
Yeah,
it as well. Like if Karl
yeah.
Malone would have said some shit like that, I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about, Karl? You ain't won shit.
But you know what though? I wouldn't have felt the same way with Karl Malone only because we see Karl Malone go to the finals back to back, and then we see him in contention at least. Trey and them just completely fell off. Like they went from can they win a title to can they even make it back to the playoffs? So that's like a huge fall from glory. That's a huge drop from grace. So that's the difference. Like when you're consistent, even if you're not winning in my book, you see, in my book, even if you're not necessarily winning, but you're constantly going back to the playoffs, you're constantly making it to the second and third round, stuff like that. Then I give you a little bit of grace.
So what you're
But
saying is if you make the playoffs for like 20 straight years, it's a little different than making it one time. We see what's happened. They've been bored ever since, and they ain't been able to do nothing. They got that conference of finals appearance under their belt.
I don't even know how you get bored in the NBA. That just sounds like a cop out. That sounds like they couldn't get it together and they just hoped that they pull it together when they made it to the playoffs. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like teams had figured them out and they couldn't win.
No, I got you. Who you got for number 9?
Okay. So I actually have Devin Booker twice. I have Devin Booker as 9 and 8. I have Booker from 2023 versus the Lakers. Not the Lakers, I'm sorry, versus the Clippers. During his time against the Clippers, Devin Booker is putting up an average of 37 points in the first round against the Clippers. It's giving you 2 steals. It's giving you 6 assists. It's giving you 5 rebounds. He's shooting at 85% from free throw. He's also shooting 46% from 3. What is that? He's shooting 60% from the field. So the way Booker was playing in that first round, and they went on to beat them. They pretty much thumped them. They went on to beat them. The series record was, I think, like 4-1. So, and the Clippers team, they're known for being one of those teams where they have a lot of role players. The Clippers teams are, at least in the past, like I mean, as far back as I can remember, like as far back as high school, the Clippers typically on a year-to-year have an array of players. Maybe not the best players in the league, but they typically have good players around them in that organization. So based on that, to see Booker go up against the Clippers and put up them kind of numbers, also Booker doesn't spend much time in the playoffs, so he's doing well for. I mean, not this season, but Booker's he's put up some some crazy numbers in the playoffs. So I got, like I said, not 03. I have 2023 versus the Clippers, and then I also have the 2021 against the Lakers. He's not averaging quite as much as he was in 2023, so we're seeing that Booker is getting more comfortable. He's getting better. But when he was up against the Lakers, he's averaging 29 points a game, giving you 5 assists and 6 rebounds. But at this point in time, he's shooting 93% from free throw. He's still shooting a good percentage from three, giving you 42 from the three, shooting 48% from the field. He had highs like 47, where he shot 8 from 10 from the 3-point line. So things like that is why I have Booker back to back on my list.
That's what's up. Who else we got? Who's coming in number 7?
Oh, man. Number 7. So for my number 7, I have Jokic. I have Jokic from the 2019 season versus Spurs. The Spurs are another team like the Clippers, except the Spurs, in my opinion, have the greater players. The Clippers might have like sometimes better talent, sometimes, but the Spurs will have the greater players. Now, I'm not gonna lie.
I just want to say this. I was going to say that 2015 series between the Clippers and Spurs, epic. Where Chris, the game winner, on the last second on Duncan and all that, epic. And then that was the night of the it was the night of the Mayweather fight, because I remember I went straight from Game 7 to the Mayweather fight and all that. So
yeah.
So yeah, that was an awesome series too.
Yeah, man. But where was I going? Jokic. Oh yeah. But where I was going with Jokic is this was the Spurs team where they had to rebuild. You feel me? They had to get rid of, Duncan and Ginobili, and all of them are gone at this point. So they got the likes of DeRozan, LaMarcus, Gasol, your boy Patty Mills. So it's a deep team is the point that I'm getting at. For Jokic to drag them out to 7 games clearly shows how deep of a roster that was. Jokic during this run, he's giving you, not what we're used to seeing of Jokic today, but it was still solid then. He's giving you 23. He's giving you almost a triple-double, which is what we expect of Jokic. He's giving you 23 points. He's only getting 1 steal, but he's also giving you 12 boards, and he's just an assist shy of that triple-double, while also shooting 87% from free throw. And this is big. This is your big, giving you 33% from the field. 33% from 3. Also shooting close to 50% from the field at 48. So watching Jokic, come into what we now know Jokic to be, I had to put respect on that. Plus, he, I think, I'm looking at the wrong stat. So moving forward, I also added Jokic to the list for 2023 against Minnesota. They did beat Minnesota 4-1 during that series. I believe he had 2 different triple doubles. We're seeing that his points are increasing at this point. We're seeing him go from what I just mentioned to 23 to now he's up to 26 points a game. He's still giving you 9 assists. He's still giving you 12 rebounds. Field goal. Free throws dropped a little bit to 70%, but he's still a solid shooter, period, giving you 50% from 3. Again, this is your big, shooting 50% from 3 that series, and 48.5 from the field. So he's basically giving you almost a triple-double, almost shooting 50% from the field and the 3, and then he's giving you a solid 70% as your big from the free throw line. So, and
what number was he? Like what number was that?
That was, let's see, 1,
is that 6,
2, 3, 4, 5. I want to say definitely 6. I want to say 5 though, because there's 2 Jokic's, there's 2 Bookers, there's the Trae Young. Yeah, that's 5.
Because you got 5 left then. Well, let me go. Tell me some of my individual ones, and you tell me what you think. Well, my first off is I got an honorable mention. That because I had to say this, and I remember watching it, and all that was crazy. If and I don't know if you know the answer, but if you do, If you do, just say this. Who do you think's got the record for most field goals made in a playoff game without a miss? They finished the game going 100%. Who would you guess? Like, who would be a logical guess to you?
A logical guess?
Yeah, I mean, you can guess whoever you want, but I mean, I would assume that you're, going to make it off a logical assumption. I don't think you're going to say Allen
Right.
Iverson.
Nah, definitely wasn't gonna say Iverson. But it's crazy. The reason I said logical is because I feel like I've seen players like Barkley go on crazy stretches where they didn't miss for a while, and then I have to question: did he miss at some point that game? No.
But here's the thing. But here's the thing. Barkley was a 25-point-a-game scorer on the Sixers, shooting over 60%. So once again, a logical choice. If you can drop over 25, shooting over 60%, that's a very logical choice.
I want to say it might have been a big.
That would be a more logical choice as well than a little guy.
Yeah, I want to say it was a big. I don't know all of Wilt's stats. It seems like something he could have potentially done. Kareem, I could see Kareem possibly. I feel like it's a big. Was it the Dream?
No.
All right. Who was it?
Well, let's go to Game 6, 2022. Chris Paul sets the NBA record going 14 for 14 from the field, 4 for 4 from the line, 1 for 1 for the three, 33 points, 8 assists, 5 boards, eliminates the Pelicans and all that. So that is one of my honorable mentions. The fact that 6 foot Chris Paul. What's up?
What's crazy is I knew that, and for some reason didn't think Chris Paul. Like when I say I knew it, like because it was 2022, I remember that game. But for some reason, right now, when you're asking it, like he never even popped in my mind. Like because I started thinking bigs. I started thinking along the lines of like bigger men. He never crossed my mind, but I remember that game.
Right.
My bad.
Well, see, that's another thing though too. And Chris Paul, he shoots at a high clip as well. But when you're thinking of this, you're going to probably go big if you don't know the answer already. And then you think of Chris Paul as being a pass first guard, so you're not going to think he has the most shots ever without a miss and all that. So, you got anything to say about Chris Paul in that game, or do you remember how well he was controlling it since it just happened?
I feel as though just until he got hurt, I feel like he was pretty much controlling that whole series until not the whole series. I feel like he was controlling throughout the playoffs until he went down. I feel as though Chris was pretty much doing what you expect of Chris, though. I don't expect him to go 100% from the field, but at the same time, with him being a solid shooter, with him being such a solid facilitator, I feel as though he was due for one of them types of games, especially since even though he shoots at a high clip, he doesn't shoot often. He doesn't shoot a lot. So, with his shots being so selective as they are, him playing so much in rhythm, it's not really a shock. It's still amazing. You feel me? Anytime you can go and not miss a shot, especially in the playoffs, that's definitely going to be amazing.
I think anytime you can just set a record, period.
Yeah. That's a great record to have. But given who it was though, and this is no shade because Chris Paul is amazing, but given who it was, I could see it. Just like I could see it with Barkley. Knowing that it was Chris, I could definitely see Chris doing it. From that point in time, like I said, he was just showing great leadership. Like Chris was just showing that I am tired of being this close and losing, and he was doing everything that he needed to try to get them that championship. Like I said, until he went down, it was looking quite well for Phoenix. It was looking good.
What was I going to say? How come when you were guessing, we look at teams like the Warriors, how come you wouldn't guess like a Curry or Thompson, especially being all the open looks they got and their ability to get extremely hot? And not only that, they could set the record, like in the first 3 quarters and sit out fourth.
Because I watched them too much, so I already know it wasn't them, man. The Warriors are like the biggest roller coaster team I could think of. What happens with them is they hit all of the shots you don't expect them to make, and they miss and blow the shots that you expect them to make. So with them, you just kind of gotta expect the unexpectable with them, but not always in a positive sense. Like sometimes you just gotta look at it like Steph Curry go 0 for 9. He might. No, Steph Curry's not going 0 for 9 from three. He just might. Like, you know, you gotta look at it like that. Because
Well, I remember
those
I
two.
told you this. Well, I did say this though before I told you this. And this is obviously when he was in his prime. I would much rather have Klay Thompson shooting an open shot than Steph Curry. And I don't know the numbers just from what I've seen. I've seen Steph miss way more open threes than I've ever seen. You know that part where the defense is sucked in, they completely forget about somebody on the Warriors? It would happen like 6-8 times a game where they just be wide open. It's like a practice three. Yeah, I would much rather have Klay Thompson shooting that than Steph.
To be honest, that's kind of a consensus though. Like everybody, I don't want to say everybody, but most people credit Steph for being the greatest, quote unquote, the greatest shooter of all time. But those who watch the Warriors, they trust the ball in Clay's hand as far as spotting up more so than Steph. Steph is weird. It's like it has to be difficult for him to make it, and I don't know if that translates to clutch performance per se, because how great of a shooter he is, like it's kind of like I don't know, anything he throws up has the potential to go in. But for sake of what I'm trying to say though, it seems like he needs some extra pressure to make shots. They got to be down by 4 for Steph to make a 3-pointer. It's got to be like 50 seconds left in the game and they're down by 7 for him to start making 3-pointers. It's like the weirdest thing. Like, you know, he'll make 3-pointers to get you back into the game and then turn the ball over. It's just nuts to me.
I got you. Well, let's keep moving on with
But
our list. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, but I say that to say, like, yeah, based on how up and down they are, how streaky those two players can be, yeah, I definitely knew neither one of them went perfect. Even though we did see didn't this stuff go perfect from the 3-point line at some point this season, but even with that, I haven't seen. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody. I haven't seen Steph, as great of a shooter as he is, I haven't seen him go perfect from the field yet.
I don't know if Kobe would have just quit shooting that one year, like when he set the record for most threes in a game. He started off 9 for 9, and then he finished 12 for 18, which he wouldn't have the record if he would have quit. But you know, so I think if someone like Kobe can go perfect, Steph and Curry should be able to go perfect. You know, because Steph is leaps and bounds a better 3-point shooter than
This is true.
Yeah. So number 10 is recency bias maybe, but I got Embiid's game 3 against the Knicks the other night. They 50 points, 8 rebounds, 13 for 19, 5 for 7 from 3, 13 and 19 for 21. That's why I got it coming in number 10. They couldn't stop him. He looked like he was completely out of shape and gassed. He could barely breathe, and he was still dropping 50. Keep him off the line. They can't win besides that game, so we found the formula for the Sixers to beat the Knicks this year in the playoffs. If Embiid could just drop 50 the next 3 straight games, they're good to go. Thoughts, comments, concerns on number 10 of Embiid?
That's a great pick. When you see Embiid and what he's doing, bro, it's Embiid is looking like everybody can see it. He's looking like, even if they don't agree, you can see it. He's looking like the best player, and he's looking like the best player among all of these very great players. You feel me? It's not like he's the best player and there's minimum competition. No, he's looking like the best player with the likes of a Jokic, who's almost a walking triple double. You feel me? A Giannis, who is just this extremely dominant player. A Luka, who's just crazy offensively. Shea, who's just doing everything. So the point I'm making is, with all of this competition, Embiid is still standing apart from everybody, which is very difficult to do these days, in my opinion. So seeing Embiid come back from an injury and try to will his team through this first round, seeing him come back from injury, he's not 100% himself. I don't know what percent he's at, but he's clearly not 100% himself, and he's just out there working. He's out there outworking people like he's been doing all season. It's a lot of pressure to have to drop 50 to win a game, especially when you're still hurt. But he did it. You see him after the game. he's ready to collapse. He's looking like, this is one of those flu games. Like, but maybe he just needed some Epsom salt and some rest. Regardless, shout out to that man for the performances he's been putting up and keeping Philly in the series. Because without him, yeah, they probably would have got worked. I expected them to win. Don't get me wrong, but without him, they probably get worked.
Oh, I didn't expect them to win this series at all. Like I said, Brunson's arguably been playing the best in these. Right, and Embiid never gets out of the second round. He's coming back injured, out of shape, and all that. I just didn't expect him to win with that. We've talked about the series. We actually broke the series down before on the pod. Number 9, I got in Ray Allen, Game 6 against the Bulls in 09. 51-5, 3-3, 8 for 32 from the field, 9 for 18, 6 for 7 from the line, and in a loss, and a triple overtime loss, and all that. So Ray Allen, I think he also had that 50-point game in the 2010 finals as well. He just it was really weird. He was clearly a third option on that, and he would just heat up. He's Ray Allen. He just heat up random games and all that. They were desperately trying to put down the Bulls in Game 6. 3 overtimes. Like I said, as far as the competitiveness goes, that 09 series is by far the best series you'll ever watch. Just back and forth, most games going to overtime, double overtime, triple overtime, hitting game winners. It was just a crazy game. Thoughts on Ray Allen coming in at number 9?
I mean, it's Ray Allen. You feel me? For all of the reasons that you just named, it makes perfect sense he would have been number 9. A series where you're constantly going back and forth. A series where you're having all of these different overtimes. A series where you're having to battle against the other team's guard who's also trying to be involved in a shootout with you. So, yeah, I feel you on that.
No, I'm with it. Coming in number 8, clearly not a guy. Like I said, he's always been coming up short in the playoffs. But this was a bubble year in 2020. We got the one loss in the first round with Donovan Mitchell. Even though in a loss, he still balled out. He had 57 points. He went 9, 7, and 1, 19 from 33 from the field, 6 for 15 from 3, 13 for 14 from the line. By far his best, 57 points by far his best, and they still lost by 10. I want to say that game was 135, 125, something like that against the Nuggets. So, yeah, and Donovan Mitchell has a history of shooting poorly, terrible in the playoffs. I don't trust Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs, but bubble Donovan Mitchell. But I'll tell you what, bubble Donovan Mitchell against when no crowds was balling. So open gym Donovan Mitchell, and I know there's been players like that before, like Phil Jackson. You also say about Sasa Vujacic. He is the best. What do you say? He's the best 9 a.m. shooter he's ever seen. Something like that. So when he was in practice, when he was in practice scrimmaging, he just couldn't miss. And then when 9 p.m. hit, it was different.
It's crazy. I could actually see that with Vujacic too, because he definitely looked like a 3-point specialist. Like just the way he looked like the player that you put in by here. Go give us 3. Go get us 2 points. So he looked like that. So I could see that. Too bad he wasn't doing it after 9 a.m. But
no doubt.
Yeah, it's not a shock. Dang,
so crazy, I just want to say, some of the determining factors. Some of the determining factors I had Game 3, Embiid. When you think of, so I put him at number 10 because, why I did get 50. Like I said, these are nitpicking. They're all great games. No problems with them. He only had 8 boards and things like that. The next 2 guys were 51, 57, but they were losses. So I went ahead and put them down a little further and all that. And this is kind of I don't think I have any math equations for it. I mean, somewhere deep down there, I guess there is, but, it's just kind of how I feel them out. So coming in next at 7, I got Paul Pierce in 02 Game 5 when he knocked out the Sixers, your boy Iverson and them. He dropped 46. He had 6-4, block of steal. He went 16 from 25, 64% from the field, 8 from 10 from the line, from 3, 80% from 3, and 6% from the line, 85%. Now, I got a question. When you drop in 46 points and you're shooting 64 from the field, but 80% is coming from 3, what's your assessment of that and the truth? Because the truth is a sneaky good playoff performer. He just had the old man game.
Well, he's a shooter. You feel me? And he's a tall guy too. So my assessment of that is he was getting some good looks, I'm assuming. He's already clearly he's locked in. You know, his name's the truth, it's the playoffs, so he's gonna be locked in. But I
Mhm.
feel as though at his size, he must have been able to get some looks to shoot. You said 80% from three?
8 for 10.
Yeah. I'm assuming some of those shots were uncontested. Not to take away, because Paul Pierce, you know, Paul Pierce is Paul Pierce. But I'm thinking there must have been some disruption defensively. Not necessarily, but that's my assumption. Like if I was to assess it, okay, somebody must have at least a few plays slacked off on Paul Pierce. They must have forgot who he was or something. Or he's crafty. He might have just got himself open. Regardless, I look at it as at his size is very difficult. Is at his size and his ability to make shots is very difficult to get a hand in front of him that's going to affect him or throw that off. So
Do you think Paul Pierce is better than Dwayne Wade?
no, no, I don't know. No.
Well, I'll tell you what's funny. They asked Antoine Walker that recently, and he said Paul Pierce is better than Wade since he played with both of them.
I
So,
mean, that might be his favorite. I don't know what that's based on. Like, I really don't. Like, I mean, just accolades alone. Like, just Wade's individual accolades versus Paul Pierce's individual accolades. Like, what are we talking about? It's not even, and it's no offense to Paul Pierce, but it's kind of not even close.
well, Michelle Beadle clown the shit out of him when they ran it down, when Jalen Rose ran it down. If you've never seen that clip, please go watch it. No, truth was the man. You know what I mean? That year, what was that? That was 02 when Boston made the conference finals. They blew up the Nets in one game. It looked like they were going to make the finals. And everybody was talking that Lakers Celtics matchup for the first time in 15 years or whatever, and they weren't that. So yeah, it was crazy how good that team was. Very solid team. You know, I'm not saying it was a like a great team, and the East was very weak that year, but they were just surprisingly tough and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in at 6, I got Kobe, game 2, 2008 against the Nuggets. My man had 49 points, 10 assists, 4 boards, a block of steal. He had he went 18 for 27 from the field, 67%, 5 from 9 from the three, 56%, 8 for 9 from the line, um, which was 88 point. Well, we just say 89% if you want to get technical. What I found really weird about this is all his shooting was some derivatives of 3, 66.666, 55.5666. You know what I mean? 88.888.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because it was 9, 9, and 27, and then it was 3 times that. I don't know if you remember that Kobe game in particular, but Kobe, especially in the finals, 6 out of 7 finals, he shot poorly overall. So high shooting percentage was never really Kobe's thing. But this game, he was just so efficient. You know, 49 points on 27 shots, 67%. His threes were going in, his free throws were going in. What do you think, Kobe coming in at 6?
I love it. It's Kobe. I love it. That mentality for you. You know, I can't knock that.
Then I got a really obscure one. I would say most people don't know about this.
Hmm.
Uh, oh wait, Killer Cam. He wants to let us know that the Pacers are winning the chip.
This
Um,
year, you think the Pacers really? Um, I don't
I'll
know.
bet you lunch that they don't. I'll bet you lunch they do.
So here's the deal. Here's the deal. It is the NBA, so anything can happen. So I'm not going to take that away. So if somebody just throws an idea out there where I used to laugh at it, now it's kind of like, what's that based on? Especially somebody like him who actually watches, sports and everything like that, or at least basketball, I should say. But from what I'm seeing, oh no, I don't know that I feel like the Pacers, because here's the deal. I don't even feel as though the Pacers are going to make it out of the Eastern Conference Finals. Like I don't see the Pacers making it to the finals. If they do, more power to them. I'm not hating on the Pacers. I just don't see it. I feel as though the East, there's too much competition in the East alone for the Pacers to make it at this level. But once we get out to the West, I don't know what team on the West the Pacers would realistically be able to beat. I don't think the Pacers are beating They're not beating Denver. I'm sorry, they're not. Um, I don't see the pace. I mean, maybe they might be able to beat Minnesota, but I don't see them beating Minnesota neither. I don't see them
See that?
beating OKC. Huh?
I said I don't see either one of those. I don't see him. I don't see him beating the Clippers or the Mavs either. While we're on the subject, I don't see him beating the Celtics. So Woodage said maybe in 2K, Cam don't want to take the lunch, and he also said the Celtics look unbeatable. So let's go to number 5. You want? I got one for you that I got one for you. And matter of fact, that dude Josh from the author that we had on. If you hadn't seen that, if
Mhm.
you want a bunch of basketball knowledge, please go watch that. He has an abundance of it. He broke it down because I knew about the game, but I didn't know about all the factors of the game. You know what I mean? So we're gonna go number 5. We're gonna go Bob Cousy in 1953, Game 2, when he sent the Nationals home. Dude had 50 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. He went 10 for 22, but he went 30 from 32 from the line. And that's how I knew about the games, the 30 for 32. Hold on, wait. It gets better, though, when you factor these in. Okay, so one, it went to 4 overtimes. He played 66 minutes. Then, hold on, wait. 25 of his points came in the overtime. Then you also got to realize this. In 1953, when he dropped the 50, that was before the shot clock.
Hmm.
Tell me what your
Lot to
assessment is,
unpack
because
there.
I know you ain't heard about that game. What do you think of that game?
To go 25 to score 25 points in overtime when even back then overtime was still what 3 minutes a quarter.
5 minutes.
It was five. Yeah, five. My bad.
Yeah.
So even back then it was five.
So 25
You
in
said it,
20 minutes. 4 overtimes, 25 points in 20 minutes.
man. So what's my assessment of that? My assessment of that
Yeah.
is he decided we're going to win this game and we're going to win it tonight. Like that's what it sounds like. It sounds like he decided I'm not walking off this court as a loser tonight. It's pretty good, I guess. I mean, he was I. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't lace my chucks up against him. No, nah, Koozie the
Hey, doing
man
it all.
though.
Doing it Chucks as well too.
Yeah, bro. And them chucks dropping 25 in 20 minutes, knowing his
Um,
heel hurt after that.
let's go. Let's go up next. Like I said, what's really crazy is I think from a fundamental thing. Before we move on, is like I said, pre-shot clock, 50 points on only 22 shots, and just lived at the line 30 for 32.
Mm-hmm.
And then you remember Kuzi, what was it in Blue Chips when he's talking when him and Nick Nolte were on the court, he just started just started banging in free throws at like 70 something.
You know
They
what? I gotta
said that was unscripted. They just left it in the movies.
That's dope. That's dope. You know what? I gotta go back and watch Blue Chips too, because it was nice seeing Shaq and Penny do their thing. But anyway, though, to your question, do I remember that scene vaguely? I don't remember it like that. I actually didn't think about it until you said it. So, but that's still dope though. You feel me? At that age to still be able to drop in. And I know if you're a shooter, you're probably pretty much always a shooter, but still, these players, once they retire, be so far removed from actually playing. So to be out there and be able to do that, that's dope.
Okay, so that's who I got. I got 4 left. Give me your number 5th position.
Okay. So taking your formula here now. I'm going with big shock. I'm going with Steph. I am going with Steph from 2015 up against the Pelicans. This looks like it would have been game 4. Now, Steph dropped 39 on them. Big shock. He hit 90%, or I'm sorry, 91% from free throw. But what stood out to me though is the 6 of 8 from 3, giving him 75% that game. He's also shooting 11 of 20 from the field, which is averaging 55%. He's given us 8 rebounds and 9 assists. Plus, he got a steal. Now, the issue though is Steph with these 5 turnovers. I hate that he be turning the ball over, but he was still able to be a plus 14 in spite of the 5 turnovers. So, with that being said, this is another one of them games where Steph decided to just throw the team on his back, and that's pretty much what he was doing against
the team on his back.
That's pretty much what he was doing against the Pelicans. This is a young Davis team. I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say this is Boogie on that team too. I can't remember. Anyway,
no, Boogie. If it was 2015, no, because I remember the series where they were trying to fight back. In New Orleans, they got killed in Golden State. They were trying to like get one in New Orleans, and Steph just put the team on his back.
Yeah, man. I'm like just over those 4 games, because they ended up sweeping. But over those 4 games, we got Steph scoring 34 in the first game. He only scored 22 in the second, but he bounced back with 40 the third game, and then 39 the closeout game. So we're seeing Steph put up.
Wait a minute. So you said he had 34, 40, 39 in 3 out of the games. Is that what you said? 34, 40, 39?
Yep.
But he had 22 that one game, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing that
motherfucker sucks.
That's the thing that be killing me with Steph, because stuff like that is why it took him so long to get a Finals MVP. Had he not had that game where he slacked off, or I don't want to say he slacked off, but had he not had that game where he had somewhat of a lackluster performance when he had KD, it would have been, you feel me? We might have seen Steph steal one of those Finals MVPs from KD, but all it took was that one game. Look at this, 34, 40, 39, and then we got a 22. Like, come on, Steph. But
come on, man.
He's still Steph though. But yeah, so yeah, that was a nice little run.
So number 4 I got coming in, John Havlicek, 1973, game 1 against the Hawks. He went 24 from 36 from the field, 6 from 6 from the line. He dropped 54 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. As they won the series, they went on to, what was that? That was the year they went 68-14, and then they shit the bed against, what was it, the Bucks? Was that in game 7 and all that? I mean, that honestly, that might have been, it was crazy too, because I think if they played single one of their teams that year, because they won in 76, they won in 74, but 73 they went 68-14. That probably really was their best team. It just didn't gel for them in the playoff. I mean, they were going up against like a prime Kareem. Nobody had any answers for prime Kareem. So, and Dave Cowens was only 6'9". He was what, 6'9", 210, 220. Hey, you know what's crazy about Dave Cowens? Dave Cowens was I know it's a John Havlicek, but just a few funny stories about Dave Cowens. One, I always forget who the dude was, but some dude one time against Dave Cowens, and he couldn't believe it. So he ran and he body checked the dude into like the first row, maybe even the second row, something like that. and he couldn't believe it. And he went and looked up at the ref. He's like, foul. So that's what he did after that. Secondly, the dude
What did he say to the ref?
So the dude flopped, right? So that's why he threw the dude into like the first or second row, and then he went up to the ref and goes, "Now that's a fucking foul." Also, what's crazy about him is, okay, so like he was down to scrap, he was down to fight, you know what I mean? He was with the shits. He also moonlighted as a taxi driver, winning titles. So you might see him win the title on the court, need to take a taxi from the arena, and he's driving you. And then what's funny too is if you ever look at images of him too, he had the most sassiest stances. Like if you just saw still images of him, he was very sassy looking, but he wasn't. But anyway, yeah. So I think that 73 team might have been their best team ever if you went up against them. And we heard Bobby Dandridge on here sing the praises of John Havlicek, put him over guys like Rick Barry and Dr. J. What do you got? What's your thoughts on Havlicek's game 1 with that 54?
That sets a tone. That's, you feel me? When you have a player come in and score 50 on game 1, it looks like it's gonna be a long series, or maybe not a long series. It looks like it's gonna be some long nights for you though. Like you feel me? It can
Hmm.
be a short series, but it can be a restless one too. Like, man, I ain't getting no sleep. Why? Because Buddy just came and dropped 50 on us tonight, then 50 tomorrow, then 50. So yeah, it can be disheartening. Is my takeaway from that. Yeah, somebody come in and drop 50 on
Who
your
you got? Who you
team.
got? Well, who you got it for?
All right. So who I have it for, and this is going back to someone you brought up, however, on the opposing side, I'm going with the rookie Rose. I'm going with Rose in '09. I'm going with him that game one. So what we're seeing out of Rose in game one is this, mind you, this is his first playoff game against Boston. They weren't quite the big three because KG was hurt, so granted, but at the same
Hmm.
time, this is a Boston team that was still that team was stacked. You feel me? That team still had the truth. That team still had Ray Ray. That team still had Rondo. Big Baby was still there, wasn't he at the time? Anyway, the point that I'm
Yeah.
making though is Rose ends up his first night out in the playoffs, giving us 36. He did turn the ball over 5 times, which is kind of to be expected. I mean, I don't expect you to turn the ball over 5 times, but I do expect some mistakes. So he gets some grace there. He only gave us 1 steal, but he also gave us 11 assists. So to go along with the 36 points, he also contributed to somebody scoring 11 times. He also gave 4 rebounds. Rose was never the high percentage shooter. So it's good to see him, as a rookie giving us 63% from the field. He shot 12 of 19 that game, and they ended up winning that overtime game. So yeah, that was a nice little first, playoff experience for Rose.
No, I remember he set the tone. They came out ready to play that game, shocked the world. Everybody expected them, even without KG, to get swept. This team was deep. This team was coming off a finals appearance. This team was coming off a championship. The Bulls it was their first time in it. So yeah, he really set the tone on that. So I agree with that. Number 3, I got your boy coming in. The same guy that they tattoo on your lower back of. We got Allen Iverson, game 1, 2. The man dropped 55 points, 8 assists, 4 boards, 2 steals, 21 for 32, 3 for 5 for 3, 10 from 11 from the line. What really stood out to me, I mean, because I'm not surprised when Iverson drops 55. I am
Mhm.
surprised when Iverson drops. I'm stunned. When
Efficient.
Iverson drops 55. Yeah, at 66% from the field. I don't know, since you were such an Iverson fan, do you remember that game specifically, or how many leaps and bounds ahead of that is for what you would expect from a classic Iverson game?
Um, so many things are running together now. Like I promise you, when I was younger watching Iverson, it seemed like Iverson was giving us 50 on a nightly basis, which clearly wasn't the case. So to answer your
Mm-hmm.
question, no, and that game didn't actually cross my mind like that. Probably should have, but like I was
Mm-hmm.
saying, I think I've kind of grown conditioned to expecting that out of Iverson. So sometimes, some of these performances will be overlooked, unfortunately. I didn't
Oh, wait.
remember that
Okay,
one. I don't.
okay. So on a shock scale, since you don't remember what you know about Iverson now, 0 being not shocked at all, 10 being shocked as you can be. I guess 1 to 10, so 1 being not shocked. How shocked are you that Iverson dropped 55 in a playoff game on 66% shooting?
I'm not shocked. Here's the reason I'm not shocked though. I'm not shocked because Iverson. And what year was this?
Oh, 3.
Oh, 03. By then he was shooting. What I was gonna say though is Iverson was a finisher in the paint. He typically finished, at least younger Iverson finished in the paint. By 03, he did develop more of a shot. He was more of a shooter by 03. So with that would be impressive because this is mid range Iverson, I'm assuming. So yeah, but Iverson had a lot of practice. Practice. That's funny. Iverson had a lot of practice though with constantly getting fouled and constantly shooting free throws. And I get free throws are slightly different from a mid range, but as far as distance from the rim, you feel me? Iverson had a solid mid range game. You know, I don't think people give him credit for that. So with that taken into consideration, and this is something that he developed. Yeah, I mean, I like the 60%. I'm probably not as shocked as you.
66%.
Okay. I'm probably
66%.
I'm probably not as shocked as you are. And then in my mind too, I was thinking that, you know, a lot of these, not a lot of them, but I know he's finishing around the rim too. You feel me? He ain't just put up 66% and they all jump shots. Like, you know, he's got some in the lane buckets as well. So with that, you know, that's gonna help keep that percentage high. So not shocked. I commend him on it because when you go
Give me a number, 1
66%
to 10.
as far as commending him, like being happy for him,
No. How shocked? Give me a 1 to 10 because I'm like at like a 9.
I'm not shocked. I mean, 1 to 10, maybe
1?
one. I'm not shocked. Yeah, I'm not really shocked.
Mm. Number 2 I got coming in because we're running out of time. Number 2 I
Oh
got
shit.
Jordan's double overtime, 63-point game 2. Probably could have been 163.65, 3 and 2. He went 22 for 41, 19 for 21 from the free throw line. What really stopped it was a loss. So that's why Jordan is coming in number 2 at 63. Amazing performance, but it didn't result in a win. They got swept. Arguably, the 86 Celtics is arguably the greatest team of all time. So what do you really expect as well? The Bulls were 30 and 52. Real quick, about 30 seconds. Thoughts on that? Thoughts on that performance?
I mean, that's one of the performances that everybody aspires for. What's that? That's the most points that a player has scored in the playoffs so far, right?
Yeah.
As far as an individual game. So he set that record. It still hasn't been beat yet. Like, we're praising players when they get 40. You feel me? Jordan and dropped 63. So, and that was the first time that's happened since what, the 60s? Is that right?
What, 63?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying
Elgin
60
Baylor.
period.
Yeah, because
60
Elgin
period.
Baylor had their.
Yeah, that was the first time since
Yeah,
being in the playoffs,
since
right?
Elgin Baylor.
Gotcha. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that says it all. No one's done it since Jordan, and it took what 20 years for Jordan to be able to do it. So that says a lot.
Do you think that should be number 1? Because I got it number 2.
No, I mean, he lost, and he didn't just lose the game; he lost the series. They got swept. So I get it. You know, he's number 2 for me as well for that very reason.
Gotcha. Number 1 I got coming in is Charles Barkley's game 3 against the Warriors for a couple of reasons. So one, they won the game. It closed out the series. It was on the road. Obviously the Warriors weren't like a juggernaut or anything like that, but nonetheless, he did play against another Hall of Famer in Weber. It was Weber's rookie year. Weber had that dunk on him that year they've been clowning Barkley about for 30 years that season. But Barkley had 56 and 14. He had 4 assists, 3 steals, a block. He shot about 75% from field, 23 for 31, 3 for 4 from 3, 7 for 9 from the line. What's really crazy is they just came out and they just started kicking the shit out of the Warriors, and he really didn't play because probably the way he was doing it that night, he probably could have went for 70. You know what I mean? Oh, and in went for 70 if you really wanted to. The dude shot 56, got 56 points on about 75% shooting. What was really crazy if you watched it, and I remember watching it live, the dude went like 11 from 11 for the first quarter and dropped 27 points in the first quarter.
See?
So if you guys have first quarter game 3, like it is crazy. Please go watch. If you don't watch anything else, just watch that game. It is nuts.
Yeah, see, that's what I was talking about earlier with Barkley. What you just said. See, I don't even remember this game, but I remember Barkley being that type of player where he goes on these crazy stretches without missing. I wasn't a Barkley fan, and I remember that about Barkley. So I wonder how many other people do recall that, or anybody even thinks about that. But Barkley has I'm gonna look into this. Barkley got some crazy stretches of going like quarters or extended minutes without missing a shot. That's nuts to me.
Just look
Shout
at
out
his
to
field goal
Barkley for that.
percentage in Philly. Just look at his field goal percentage in Philly. And then you got to realize he was doing this all at 6'4". You know what I mean? Shooting like he's 7 foot. Because he's putting up like Shaq field goal percentages and like Shaq like scoring. I mean, you know, he scored 20, I think 28.6 is his career high or something like 28.3. Shaq's career high is 29.7. So, yeah.
And for somebody that could shoot like Barkley, he really played above the rim. Like Barkley was an anomaly. Like, you know, he's 6'4", that's the height of a guard, but he's the size of a power forward. He's powerful like a power forward or a center. He's dunking on people, but at the same time, he's got a respectable shot.
Just for reference, Steph Curry's listed at 6'3".
See, he's a height of a guard.
So, I think we got to go and all that. But real quick, you got any problem with my number ones, or you think maybe somebody else should have been number one?
No, that's cool. Yeah, well deserved number one from Barkley.
Well, let's go 0 to 200. We'll be out.
Please don't make me laugh with that half-ass gimmick. I'm about to get mine and it's about time. Call us grindhouse, everybody in a house grind. I'm just doing me, I ain't trying to outshine. Trying to kill my vibe is how you get outlined. I don't do it for the views and the likes, boy. I'm just giving you what I wrote last night, boy. I don't care if it isn't what you like, boy. My flow is fucking awesome, ain't it, white boy? Feeling fly.
Hey.
Yes, it is. All right. So please tune in tomorrow. Please like, subscribe, and everything. And until then, we will check y'all